If you want the exact methods of how one of our clients, Aliaa Mehrez, is making $168,000 a month, I'm giving you a completely free gift, which is inside a top-end mastermind 7-figure scaling systems. And this is a live Q&A call with Aliaa for an hour, breaking down exactly what she's doing in her business and her sharing her knowledge. So check the video out now. And if you want help in terms of building your own fitness business from someone who's actually got a successful fitness business and has done what you want to do, hit the link below now and you can book a free call to find out how you can help you, and enjoy the video.
Most of you guys, girls, will probably all know who Aliaa is, I'm going to presume. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Aliaa. I've been in like the online coaching space since lockdown now, and working with Charlie like almost a year now. I think 9 months it's been. So yeah.
So I would like today. There's no real format for this. We're just going to keep it really open in terms of, I think, like you sharing as much value and experience from what you've done. So you came to us in September last year. You've added 100K monthly recurring revenue to your business. I think you were doing like 60,000 a month or something like that back then off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it was like in US dollars, it was like 68,000, and that was at PB already at the time. So yeah, it's grown exponentially since.
Okay. And you've just done 168,000 last month. So you've added 100K in 9 months, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any questions or wherever they want to go with this, unless there's anything in particular you wanted to share to start this off, Aliaa?
I guess to start off, like it's more of a question of like what works for me might not work for everyone. Like don't copy exactly what I've done, because the people that we work with are different. Maybe the way that my business is structured is different. But at the same time, like I'm an open book, like more than happy to share as much as anyone wants me to. So if you guys have like any questions, unmute or pop it in the chat. Yeah, let's do it.
What was the what was the biggest mindset shift you think you had to overcome? That's a good question.
I think the mindset shift for me was just like believing in the fact that it's like even possible to achieve crazy numbers, because you always hear of these people hitting X amount. Because even like before I started doing as well as I am now, like I used to hear of X has hit this much this month, and I'm like, that's impossible. But then I think it was just having you say to me like, no, like it literally is possible. Like I've done it, this person's done it, you can do it as well. I think seeing other people achieve what you want can show you that it's possible, if that makes sense. And if you actually believe that you can do it, then you're a lot more likely to take the necessary actions to go and do it. Because if you have any element of self-doubt, or if you don't believe in yourself, this sounds very wishy-washy, but like it's true. Like, why would you work towards something that you don't believe is possible? Think about it in that way. So yeah.
And I think a part of that is also setting big goals, because even like I remember, I think the start of this year, I said the goal is to try and get you to 300K this year a month.
Yes,
and
scary,
like,
but yes.
and you was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But I was like, you can do it.
Yeah.
Like you like, even if anyone here sets really big goals, and that can be relative to where you are, even if you don't hit those, you'll be way further ahead than if you just set a realistic goal. Because if you set a bigger goal, your actions you're going to have to take and the way you're going to try and think is going to be different than if you set a very small goal. So there's a couple of questions in the chat. So one would be from Ben. Would be great to hear your current structure of your team. Like, how does that look as an organization?
Yeah, so I have 8 coaches that work for us, and then I have 2 setters, 1 closer now as well. That's like the most recent addition. I think in terms of the order in which I did that, the first thing I outsourced was fulfillment. I think the sooner you get out of fulfillment, the better, to be honest. I know a lot of you guys might be very passionate about fitness, like I still am, but I don't do any coaching anymore because it doesn't serve the business. So yeah, outsourcing fulfillment was the first thing I did. Luckily for us, like most of our coaches were clients and then they became coaches. So it's pretty easy to find them. They were already kind of bought in and they were very willing to use my philosophy, my approach, and my methods. And then obviously like setting is something that you really need to have outsourced, and preferably have your account covered 24 hours if you're like international, or if your niche is like just in UK, just in US, and make sure all those hours are covered. It really, really is important. The last thing I would outsource is sales, to be honest. That's just like my personal opinion, but I do think that it's the last thing that you should outsource if you're considering doing that. So that's kind of the structure that I have. I do have like some freelancers that do like my tech because I suck at tech. So anything that is not like that you're not good at or that you don't enjoy, just don't do it. Basically.
I love that. And what you just said there about setters around the clock reminds me, I think I messaged Nathan about something. I was like, that, like if you hate money, don't have them working all 24 hours a day because it's retarded. Ruby asked, what was the turning point for you when you went from working on your own to your first like growth and scaling?
I guess it depends on like, there's been so many turning points. I think the first one was like early days when I realized, okay, this is not gonna be a one-woman thing anymore. I'm gonna have to build a team, was when like I had too many clients on my plate and I think I hired my first coach way too late. Bring on your first coach early because you're gonna need it. It takes time to train them up if you want them to deliver the level of service that you expect. That was the first turning point. I was like, okay, 103 clients. I hate my life. I'm working like all day. So that was a big turning point for me. And then I think another one was when I really when the paid ads clicked for me. And when I was able to get a really good return on those, is that when I started working with Charlie actually, and then I just spent more and I made more. And that was like another big turning point when you can start paying for people to see your stuff.
Harry asked, what is the core booking system looking like? Mainly DM, opt-ins, ads, like what's the main funnel flow?
Yeah, so like 100% Instagram DMs. A lot of them come through obviously my paid ads, but I've been lucky enough in the past few years, I've collaborated with influencers, so I've had a lot of leads come from them. The way it works for us is obviously just like conversation in the DMs, book in, and I guess when you get like a lot of lead flow and you don't want to have a lot of time wasters, you want to have a good filtering system in place to make sure that you don't have people like, I don't know, in India who can't afford your program. So with us on the form, it's like, if they say that they can't invest a certain amount or they're not ready to start as soon as possible, it doesn't even let them book in for the call. And then it goes into an automation where they either get sent something cheaper, like a Voldemort offer, or if they want to start at a later date, it sends us a reminder on that date to reach out to them again. So I've automated as much as possible to streamline that process.
For context, anyone, the Voldemort offer is some weird name that I came up with, which is basically like Harry Potter, you're not allowed to talk about it. So it's like a low ticket thing that you can sell to people that the outside world doesn't know about. So you can try and like liquidate some ad spend. For anyone asking what the hell that is.
Yeah, and I wouldn't distract myself with that too early on. Like focus on your core offer. I only started doing this when like literally there was hundreds of people I could offer this to. No sales call required. I would just send it in the DMs and then they would just pay. But like that's like when literally you have so many people to offer it to that it would be a smart thing to work on, but I wouldn't recommend getting into that too early. It's a distraction.
What is the biggest thing you've changed since starting seven-figure scaling system that's helped you enable to grow to where you are today?
I think it's a couple of things. The paid ad side of things, like learning how to change the creatives if needed, change the copy if needed, because obviously you launch something, it goes really well, but then what happens when it stops being profitable? Because ads have a shelf life. So I think learning that you need to test a lot of different things and spend a lot of time and money on different things to find what works. That was a big one. And then also like managing my team, holding meetings, setting goals for my team, keeping them motivated, because without your team, literally your business is nothing. And I really want to make sure that I'm keeping my team happy, that they enjoy working for me, that they feel like they're being like paid well and that they're just having a good experience overall, whether that's my coaches or my setters or my closer, like giving them realistic goals to work towards and like constantly like measuring their performance and, you know, encouraging them. And I think just, managing my team a lot better was another one.
Cool. That's a great answer. Harry said, what ads are you currently running at the moment?
So quite a few different ones. A couple of reels that I'm boosting. That's just for, you know, more eyeballs and followers. And then I do a lot of just SMS posts that I boost. not boost, sorry, that I run through like Facebook Ads Manager. I've been testing different wording, different colors, different countries, different cities, like different, so many different things that you can, it's crazy like how many you can test and see what works. Something as small as just like changing, like saying belly fat instead of stomach fat, or flat stomach instead of flat tummy, like little micro changes like that in your ads can make such a huge difference. So I've been testing a bunch of those in different parts of the world right now.
What are the so Ben asking, are your coaches full-time, part-time? Also would love to hear how you make decisions around when to bring on each new coach.
So right now, all but one of my coaches are full-time, which is pretty cool. It also like puts a lot of pressure on me to obviously keep working hard because they rely on me for a living. In terms of knowing when to bring on a coach, I've made mistakes. Like I've brought on coaches a bit too late. I think when you can kind of foresee a lot of growth and you're like, holy shit, how am I going to fulfill all of this? Like that's too late already. So I would say like if things are going well right now, if you kind of count the number of signups you get per month and also your churn rates, how many clients leave per month, and that way you have your net growth each month, and then you have your capacity and just do the math and see, okay, when am I going to hit capacity? Try and bring someone on or start training up at least like 4 to 6 weeks before you plan on hitting capacity, I would say. So I would just run the numbers.
What are the amounts that you've on your booking form asked, are you investing, or what's your question in regards, I guess, financial commitment?
Yeah, so it's similar to what I think is on the modules, on the 7-figure scaling system modules. It's like $350 per month, $550 per month, $1,000 per month. I keep the question in there because honestly, I don't see the point in like doing a sales call with someone who just can't invest at least that amount. And I have the call volume to be able to filter people out that way. And the really high numbers, I don't really charge that much at all. Like our program does not cost $500 a month, but I think psychologically it's a bit of a price anchor because they come into the call like, shit, like what are the full programs, like $1,000 per month, you know, and then they realize, oh, it's so much more affordable. So that's how I have those questions laid out.
Brayden asks, what strategies or methods do you use to consistently create high quality, authentic content that resonates with your niche?
You know, it's hard for me to answer this question with like a strategy or a method. I just love creating content, and I'm just someone that I scroll Instagram a lot, which is not good, but it gives me a lot of content ideas. I see a lot of what's out there, what's trending. I see a lot of bullshit as well that I try and like kind of rectify. So I think for me, I guess the main strategy is to be as controversial as possible. And the first 3 seconds of your video, I know everyone says it's so important. So try and literally just find that hook that'll get the person to just watch is so important, and being as controversial as possible. Like I get a lot of hate under my videos and that's fine. But it gets views, it gets clicks. So that's kind of my main strategy.
Dom asked, do you do direct ads with clear CTAs for coaching directed towards IGDMs for setters to book? Or do you do viral based content boosts to create more followers for your setters to book that way? Or do you do both?
I do a mix of both. Yeah. So a few ads like SMS posts like, hey, this is my program, like looking for 5 women in X, like, do you want to do it? Or boosting some reels where I give away like a guide, and then if they comment, it automatically sends them a message through ManyChat, and then my setters take care of the rest.
Adrian asked, what's your ads budget per month at the moment?
So it's about 15% of my total revenue, which is like about between $10,000 and $15,000. It fluctuates. Like some months, if I'm like away or my closer's away and we don't have capacity for calls, I'll like bring it down. But in June, like we're in full force, so I'm planning on making it 15,000 US dollars.
Cool. Reese has a good question. What's main differences in systems of what you're doing daily from 0 to 20K a month, 20 to 50K, 50 to 100?
I guess it's just removing myself more and more from like the business. I mean, 0 to 20K, I was doing most of the coaching. I didn't have many systems in place. I wasn't very good at marketing. And then I think from 20 to 50K is like when we had traction. My content was doing well. We were getting a lot of referrals. I started boosting posts here and there. I wasn't spending that much on ads at all. 50 to 100 was when really like, okay, spend more money on ads. And then I also had an influencer who shouted us out, and that helped a lot. And then at that point, I wasn't really doing any coaching at all. Pretty much everything was outsourced. Even like nowadays, I'm like, I don't work that much, to be honest. Like, and I feel guilty for saying that. Sometimes I really don't. I like to think that I'm like lazy in a smart way. So over the years, and I guess as the revenue has gone up, I've been doing less and less, which is what you want. It's like what Charlie posted the other day, like you want to build your business around what you want your life to be and not the other way around. So if you're able to delegate things over time, that's when you're going to notice this compounding effect for sure.
Were you still growing a lot organically when you first invested in ads from Ollie?
Honestly, I don't think that I grow organically that much at all. Most of my followers come from my ads right now and my boosted reels. I think I only had like one reel that went pretty viral organically and it got me a few thousand followers. But most of my following right now is just, yeah, thanks to my paid ads. I think if you get it right, it's the fastest way to just get more eyes on your page and more followers.
What payment structure you use for coaches from Don?
I made a very big mistake with this with my first coach. It was just advice that I got from a previous business mentor. So my first coach, I was paying her like 50% of what each client was paying us, like on a monthly basis. And that was
for context now, your salaries would be what, like $80,000 a month in coaching for someone then, nearly.
It would be terrible. It would be honestly just insane. So that was her. And then as the next people came on, I was like, okay, I can't be paying you guys as much. I think a couple of coaches are getting like 70 or 75 quid. It depends on where they're from. I convert into their currency where they're from, per client per month, which I do believe is on the higher end. But to be honest, like they work so fucking hard. They're doing so well. The clients stay for years. I'm happy to pay them that. And I still have decent margins anyway. But then the newer coaches down, like, okay, it's 60 pounds per client per month. They have incentives where like if they churn less than 10%, they get a bonus. If the client stays past, I believe it's month 9, because right now our churn was about 12% on average, was like 8 months on average. If they get to month 9 or beyond to bring that average up, they get a bonus. They get bonuses for transformations, referrals, testimonials. So a lot of incentives in there. And that's what I use for my coaches.
Cool. What does the training process look like for your coaches and team?
So right now I actually have my head coach train the new coaches, which is really good. At the start, I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest. I kind of had to wing it. Because most of our coaches were clients already, they kind of knew how things worked, so they didn't need much training until I had a couple of girls come from like completely not, like they weren't clients, and that's when I was like, okay, let's get SOPs in place. So I sat down, I have a full like Google Doc with SOPs, everything from when a client pays, their onboarding, what happens, what's expected, what they need to do. I've recorded Loom videos on literally everything. It's like one big SOP that's there with how to onboard our clients. Obviously, this looks different business to business, but I think it's important to have everything all in one place with screenshots, pictures, Loom videos, so it's all really clear. So they have to go through all of that. And then we give them like either a fake client, or if they have like a friend or family member that they want to coach for free, we bring them on board and act as if they're a paying client. And then my head coach will kind of shadow them and go through all the check-ins with them. And yeah, pretty much. So I don't really do that anymore. My head coach does. And then to be honest, I don't overthink it that much. Like it's not that hard. So like once they feel like they're ready, just give them their first client. So don't overthink it too much.
I think a lot of people over procrastinate in that way too much. Like
Yeah.
unless you're dealing with Olympic athletes or like Ben on here who deals with like ACL knee rehab.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like
I remember
do you know what I mean?
in January, I had to bring on 3 new coaches because it was crazy. And one of them, I trained her for like a couple days. I was like, okay, I think you're ready now. And then that was it. And she's fine.
A question from Ben: with ads, do you find that it builds your audience and then people tend to convert later, or do you get sales directly from ads consistently?
A mixture of both. A lot of the time it's like someone just finds my ad, finds my page, and then they sign up a couple days later. That happens a lot. And sometimes they just don't sign up and then they're still fat a year later and then they sign up. So it's a mix of both, which is why like I think it's just great. If you don't feel too discouraged, like not everyone signs up now, because at least they're on your profile and you can reach out to them in a year's time.
Neil asks, what's the number one ad that's working for you in terms of locations, and how often do you keep running at the same people?
So this is, I think it changes over time. It's really hard for me to give like one specific answer because I'm Arab and I'm Middle Eastern. I find that whenever a Middle Eastern woman finds my page, they will relate and follow because they look like me or I look like them. And I think this is something that if you're like ethnically from somewhere else, to just use that to your advantage, it helps a lot, by the way. So for me, countries in the Middle East like Saudi, Kuwait, those have been pretty good. I know some people who are not Arab who have tried and it's flopped for them. So, in terms of location and niche, it really depends on what your content is about, and what pain points you're trying to target as well. In terms of how often I have things set up, I mean, I have a really bad habit of like checking my ads manager all the time, which you're supposed to let it sit and marinate for a little bit to kind of check if things are working. But like at least once a week, I'll move things around, change things around. So yeah.
Adrian asks, what's the minimum price point to sign up for clients?
In US dollars, $350 monthly.
What's your daily schedule with the large call volume plus other tasks you do from then?
So it does vary day to day. What I like doing is keeping my mornings or my calendar in the mornings pretty empty. I don't like doing meetings or anything like that in the morning because that's my time to just do like deep work, whether that's content, whether it's just planning things for my team, just planning strategies out for like my ads, things like that. So mornings are pretty empty. And then to have like a bit of a break, I go to the gym, clear my head. Then after the gym, I like sitting down and taking calls, taking meetings, and a bit more relaxed. Right now, my call volume is not that high. My closer takes them. But back when I did have like a lot of calls, it was literally just like 4 p.m. until like 9 p.m. back to back. That's how it looked like.
Do you know how long it takes for a new follower to turn into a client?
No.
From Lauren, how do
Hard
you
to work out. How would you work that out? It's very
yeah,
difficult.
you can't retrack that.
Yeah.
How do your coaches cover nutrition for clients? Do they write meal plans or do they have a lot of generic ones? And how personalized do you go with clients if they want to change training programs?
Yeah, so this is something where it's not very scalable what we do, but it works. So we go very in depth, like we create for each and every person from scratch a bespoke set of different meal plans, and they love it, and like recipes. Same with their training. We have templates for people who are complete beginners, but for the most part, we like to go from scratch, especially because you work with girls like all over the world. So I can't give a girl who's in the US something where it's like, oh, buy this from Tesco or M&S, because like that doesn't work. So we really personalize things like where the client is based, what they like to eat. We have so many different dietary requirements, different ethnic backgrounds. And I think that's why we do really well, because the girls love it. Obviously, this takes more time, and I do pay my coaches maybe a bit more than industry average, but I think they deserve it because they do put in that time for every single client. So yeah, we go pretty personalized.
Cool. From Reese, when you boost reels, is this through Meta Ads Manager or direct from Instagram? Have you seen any difference with the two?
I've been doing this from my Instagram up until I don't know when this new thing where they're going to charge us 30%. I don't know when that's going to start.
Not
Once
really
that
announced yet.
has it not started yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. Once that does obviously come into place, I'm going to stop doing that. But for now, I just boost it through the app. And then on my ads manager, I run retargeting ads where like you can create a lookalike audience of people who have engaged with your profile over the past year. Then I'll take like the actual videos or the reels that perform pretty well organically and then just run that.
What's your cost of acquisition from paid ads from Reese?
So it's about $150 US per client.
What does your training look like for your closers? And are your setters just in the business suite or in IG?
So for my closer, what I do, this is like, I've been doing this for ages, and you should start doing from now, is record every single sales call on YouTube. really important, because I gave her like hundreds of sales calls and she just listened to them all. She took notes. I have a huge Google Doc with a big script, that we went over together. We were like meeting multiple times a week, going over the script, role playing, practicing. I was giving her a lot of the non-qualified calls first. So I'd set up an automation where if people ticked no to investing, it would take them to her calendar so she could kind of practice with those people anyway at the start. I was paying her like an hourly rate at the time. I didn't want her to just work for nothing. And I realized she was pretty good. And I think it was like at the point when someone ticked no to investing and she still signed them up, I was like, okay, let's give her some like actual real people now. And then she records all of her calls, and every single call she does, I give her feedback to this day. And she's always trying to get better, ask me questions, and we kind of run things by each other as well. So yeah, having a very tight-knit like feedback loop helps a lot. And I give her a lot of like targets month to month. It keeps her motivated. So that's kind of what it looked like for her. And then for my setters, they are just on the Instagram app, and we also use ManyChat for tagging as well.
Cool. And then I have to ask, do your coaches do content their own pages to bring in extra leads?
No, they don't do any of that, which is why they're allowing me fully, which I think is good.
What would you say is the best way you found to grow your audience with ideal clients? Boosted reels?
Yeah, I guess you could say boosted reels. I mean, a combination of boosted reels and the SMS posts, I would say.
How many sales calls a week are you booking at those?
So at the moment, it's about 30 per week, which is quite low for us. The past few months has been between 40 and 50 per week. I think right now it's just a bit slow, but it happens. I'll pick it back up. Price points is on average $350 per month. And I know Charlie doesn't like this, but like I don't do a lot of upfront payments. I do get people to just sign a contract and pay monthly quite a lot of the time. Again, you don't have to do this. I just find that it works pretty good for me. And then whenever I do have like last month, a good strategy we did is like a summer promo. It's like Black Friday, but you just name it a summer promo where people can pay up front and like, yeah, so that was something that we did.
When you do sales call, do people still ask to work directly with you rather than a coach?
It happens sometimes actually, either on the sales call or in the DMs, and I just say, oh, like, just so you know, all the results and testimonials on my page are not even mine. I'm a bit of a fraud. I make it like a joke. Like they're my teams, they're my coaches. And I would just say, like, to be completely honest with you, I would not be able to give you the time or energy or attention that you would need to see these results. My team is going to be able to do that much better than me, and you get far better results with them. And then they usually like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So that's what I usually do.
How do you play your closer?
Yeah, so it's 10% on total contracted. And because a lot of our payments are like monthly, if someone fobs us off, she gets a pay cut if they do. So, yeah.
What contract do you have for your coaches? What do you have them?
As in like an employment contract kind of thing.
Assuming that's what it means.
Yeah, it just pretty much says they're like what their bonus structure is in there, their monthly rate per client is in there. It does state that they do need to work weekends. And it also states that if they ever want to take like time off work, I need a specific amount of time like notice. They have to tell their clients about it. They can only take 2 weeks off check-ins per year, have to be quite spread out as well. That's pretty much all that's in there. Yeah. Oh, and it also says that they're not allowed to steal my clients. And that if one day we were to kind of part ways, there is a notice period, and that they're not allowed to take their clients with them. And that like for 12 months after us splitting up, we're not allowed to target our clients. So I have that all written in there.
When you're pitching someone on sales call, do you offer 12 or 6-month programs, or pitch monthly payment or paying full?
So we say we have a minimum commitment sort of period of 4 months. And I say, obviously you can stay longer than 4 if you want. But I say monthly, this is the price. Now, if I can tell from someone's call booking that they're rich, if I get on the call, they've got a Rolex on, they've got like a Van Cleef and Arpels bracelet, they've got a Cartier bracelet, like they're talking about considering a tummy tuck or a BBL. I'm like, okay, this person has money. I'll charge them for 6 months up front. I've had a couple of times where I've had people pay for the year up front. But I kind of try and pre-screen the person, and if they have money, I'll get the cash up front. It's obviously so much better. But if I kind of look at the conversation, their profile, I can kind of tell, oh, this person probably like, a stretch for them, then I'll pitch them the monthly.
What do you do in terms of clients dropping off before the contract ends?
So we try and fight them via email. I don't do it. My assistant does it for me. Say, hey, this is legally binding contract. Like, you signed this, please honor it. If someone blocks their card, you literally can't do anything about it. Like, you can't take them to court. You can't, there's nothing you can do. I mean, that sucks. And that's, I guess, the big downside, right, of having people pay monthly. Yeah, so we just try and go back and forth by email, like, hey, you signed this contract, like, we will charge you. But then if they block their card and ghost, there's literally nothing we can do, which is why upfront payments are good, because it helps avoid that situation.
What's your team's current closing rate?
65%.
Which is really good. Wally asked if you have a copy of your coach's contracts you could share.
Yeah, sure. I'll send it to you later. It's absolutely fine.
Where did the majority of the 30 to 50 calls a week come from? SMS ads into DM to call?
So it's either, yeah, so some from SMS ads, some literally just people who have been following me for a long time, and I've been talking to myself in the DMs for like years, and then one day they see like one of my stories or my posts, like, oh, I'm finally ready. So it's a mixture of those things, I would say.
What does your low ticket offer entail, and when do you pitch it?
So the low ticket offer is pretty much just fewer touch points. I still do believe in giving people support where it's not completely hands off. So we don't charge nothing for it. It's like $180 per month. So it's not nothing. My coaches get paid obviously a lot less for it. They just get one check in a month, and there's no WhatsApp. So the communication is not as frequent. But it still has a personalization aspect to it. My coaches are happy to do it. Sometimes it's all that someone can afford. There's no sales call needed. I just send them a Google Doc in the DMs, like, here's the difference, here's a video that explains it. Do you want to do it? They're like, yeah. I'm like, here's the payment link. They pay, and then and I have this automated as well, where if someone takes no to investing on the call booking form, they get added to like an email automation sequence thing that offers them that program. And we also DM them on Instagram, so they get hit pretty much everywhere.
Cool. Rosalind asked, how much are you involved in the client's community at all?
Not at all. Really not. I mean, like, I try and go to the shoots. Like, we do shoots in the UK a couple times a year, and I try and go if I can. And then, like, for example, there's a shoot happening in the US in 2 weeks, and I'm not going. So I'm really not very involved, unfortunately.
Are you looking into any other platforms other than IG for client acquisition?
Right now, no. I know it's not very, I guess it's risky, but yeah, not right now.
Scale what works. How many DMs are your setters sending per day? And how is that balanced in terms of outbound / new followers?
Let me just open Slack and give you some exact numbers, because we have like an end of day report each day. So I have them each do like at least 200 follow-ups per day, and they go above and beyond. So it's about 500 follow-ups per day in total. Let me just open this here. In terms of like welcome messages, outbounds in general, it's about 300 in total per day. So that's on top of the follow-ups. It's like 800. And then obviously we like reply to any inbounds as well. So yeah, at least let's say 700 to 800 messages in total per day.
Cool. If they take no to investing, they go into an email flow, but you offer low ticket IG as well?
Both, yeah, just to make sure they see it.
What's your current payment structure for setters?
So one of my setters gets $4 an hour. She's in the Philippines. And also they get a bonus if they book over 50 calls per week. And then the other one, she's not only my setter, but she's like my everything admin person. And she's honestly like, my business would not exist without her. So I pay her $10 an hour, which I think is like very, very fair, because she handles so much. So that's the pay structure. And she also has like a bonus if she books a certain number of calls per week. And for people who like sign up, they get $5 per sign up.
Do you have coaches in different time zones for international clients?
So most of my coaches are in the UK, and that works just fine with US people. And then I have one coach who's in Belgium and then two coaches in Dubai. So I guess us Dubai girls, we're good for the Middle East, we're good for Asia, good for Australia. And then the European girls, obviously Europe is covered. And then even with US, it's really not even that bad. If you think about it, like nothing's urgent. Like with coaching, like a client can ask you a question, but if you don't reply like now, it's the world's not going to end. So time zone wise, like even here in Dubai, like working people in the US work 12 hours behind, it's really not bad.
How are you tracking your leads in the DM? Spreadsheets, go high level, CRM?
So tracking in terms of like tagging them, or what type of tracking are we talking about?
Do you want to unmute yourself, Sam? What do you mean?
You can hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I would imagine if you've got a handful of different setters in the DMs all and messaging hundreds of people per day, like there must be some kind of organization structure there to not only track who's talking to who, but also where someone is in the DM sequence, what kind of like understanding when the last message was and knowing when to follow up. So I'm just curious to understand more about what that process looks like for you and your team.
Yeah, so in terms of tracking, we use ManyChat to add like tags. So like whenever we send a call booking link, there's like a tag called link sent. There's also a tag for like the different follow-up messages we have. So we do tag conversations that way. And then you can also use ManyChat to tag like whose lead is this? Is this Maxine's lead or Beverly's lead? Those are my two setters. So because obviously they get commission based on who's booking the call. And we kind of agreed that like whoever's done most of the conversation, that's their lead. So let's say if Maxine did like all the messages, but then Beverly just sent the link at the end because she was online, it's still Maxine's lead because she did all the work, if that makes sense. So you can tag on ManyChat. We also have a couple of spreadsheets that are automated based on people who take like no to investing, calls that I didn't close as well. And then we have those open for follow-ups as well. And then I have like a bit of a to-do list for my VAs, like, okay, follow up with people from like this tag or this list, for example. So that's the system that we have. It sounds a bit messy, but it works. So.
And then are your setters able to actually DM through ManyChat, or are they opening up Instagram on their phones and messaging through Instagram?
So they do a bit of a mixture of both. I think with ManyChat, the one issue is like with follow-ups, if the conversation is older than 7 days ago, you can't message through ManyChat, which is really annoying. So they'll just use it to pull up the conversations and then they'll have IG on their phone or something to message.
Cool. Thank you.
No worries.
Does your head coach handle performance reviews for your coaches?
Yeah, but like we're not super, what's the word? With the performance reviews, I guess this is my fault. I've not taught her how to properly set good targets. So I'm still setting the targets. I'm still saying to her, hey, get this person to bring their churn down to this amount. Get this coach to get me a transformation this month, because she's not gotten us any. But what she does mainly handles like, she asks them what the goal is for next month, or they kind of set the goal together for the next month, and she holds them accountable throughout the month to reach that goal. Whether it's getting a testimonial from this girl, getting this girl to lose X amount of weight, or that kind of thing. So, yeah.
What is your follow-up message sequence from Alex?
It's very similar to the one that's on the script that you have. So it's the first one just checking if you got my message. And then it's like, is everything okay? Like, did a crocodile come and get you? And then I'm worried, like, did aliens come and abduct you or whatever? And then the fourth one, I was like, right, I give up. I'm guessing you've had enough of me. You know, I've cried my eyes out. I'm really upset, but wish you the best. Something like that. So that's what I do.
Yeah, that's definitely my script. Rosalind, are those 300 messages to people who are new followers, comments and likes and posts, or do you send cold DMs, like super cold?
So it's a mixture of everything. So the follow-ups that are about 400 to 500 per day, like that's either people who have requested guides like months ago or more recently, or just people who have not replied to us. And then in terms of the outbound messages, every new follower gets welcomed. We're gaining between 200 to 250 new followers per day. And then we also do like just outbounds to people where it's like they've liked a post, they're watching my stories, something like that, or they've liked my client's transformation. So we'll do like not that many, because I think with Instagram, if the person isn't following you, and you're messaging them too much, you can get blocked from DMing. That's happened to me once. But if they're following us, then we can message as much as we want, because it doesn't go against the community guidelines. So that's what that is.
Cool. And then how many messages do you have in your DM script from Ollie, roughly?
Before sending the call link, probably about like 6. I mean, honestly, this depends on how the conversation goes. I think there's a really good video in the modules that goes over a bit of a checklist of what you want to accomplish from the conversations, like their goal, why they want to achieve the goal, if they have a time frame, what they previously tried to achieve the goal, why it didn't work for them, any challenges they're facing right now, and is this a priority? I think off the top of my head, that's the checklist that you want to make sure you've ticked all those boxes in the DMs.
Question from Kevin: how do you structure and maximize ad videos for high performance?
I don't really have strategy. I mean, the videos that I do, they're like SMS post styles. It's like, I'm looking for 5 women in X who want to do Y. That's literally it. And then in terms of like my boosted reels, I guess it's the same strategy as my organic content. Just try and get the first 5 seconds to be as engaging as possible.
From Laurie: do you fear setback?
I used to, and sometimes I do go into like, not panic mode, but I get moody or I get upset when things are slow, relatively slow. And it's funny because like my boyfriend Adam, he notices. He's like, why are you sad? Do you not book any calls? Like, he knows. So I don't fear setback because I know it's part of the process. But I do like get upset. Yeah, like my mood a lot of the time is very dependent on how well my business is doing, to be honest. Which is, I guess it's a blessing and a curse, because like I don't want to feel shit, so it makes you want to work harder. But obviously it's not nice to like be in a bad mood around your friends, your boyfriend, if work is not going as good as you want it to.
When did that setback change for you, like becoming less of an issue?
I guess when I realized that like it's part of the, like, what did you expect? Like, you want to have a 7-figure business. Do you think it was going to be easy? Like, did you think it was gonna be, you know? So then it's, I think, obviously, yeah, I give myself 5 minutes to be sad. Then I'm like, okay, like, this is actually not that bad. Like, I'm still, like, I'm living a fucking fantastic life. Like, this is fine. I can get over it. And I try and maybe compare it to different areas of my life. I've had different setbacks in my personal life previously, like, and I overcame them. This is just setback in business. It happens, and it's necessary because it forces you to acquire the skills to overcome it and to actually get to the next level. So setbacks and challenges and all those different things, whether it's in business or in life, that they're necessary. Otherwise, you don't get better. You don't get to where you want to be.
Great answer. And then, is your DM sequence really simple? Do you have a lot of like variation messages? Do you have a framework, or like how do you teach them to message in that respect? From Holly?
Yeah, so with DMs, it used to be very like robotic, and it worked for a while. And then something we've noticed recently is like people are a lot more wary of AI, of bots. And sometimes I get people asking like, are you a bot? Are you AI? And I'm like, okay, let's just try and make this look a bit less robotic in terms of the messages. So I've had to get on like calls with my VAs pretty much every single day, review conversations together, make it sound a lot more like flowy, a lot more natural. So we have a bit of a structure in place. We have saved replies, but I've also taught them different ways to make it flow a bit more, show more empathy. So if the person says that, I don't know, they're depressed and their wife or their husband thinks that they're fat, I'm not going to say, that's amazing. How long have you been trying to lose this weight for? Like, it just makes no sense. You have to, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Thank you for sharing with me. So it's kind of like I've had to teach them how to personalize and change the script whenever it's necessary.
When you were at 0 to 20K stage, how many DMs or follow-ups were you completing daily? And what times a day would you try to get those completed? 0
to 20K, honestly, I didn't track anything back then. Like, up until I was hitting in British pounds, maybe like 30K. I wasn't tracking anything, to be honest. So I have no idea. Yeah, sorry.
What was your spend on ads that directly targeted towards increasing the followers per day?
Right now I'm spending in British, my ad account is in British pounds, so it's like about 400 pounds per day.
Um, from Millie, what will you achieve by the age of 30?
Millie knows the answer to this question. A lot. I'm gonna achieve, I think a lot more than I think I'm going to, because if I kind of think back, like, because I'm 24 now, so that's like in 6 years. If I think 6 years ago, if you had asked me what I was going to achieve by the time I'm 24, not even like a tenth of what I've achieved now. So I could give you an answer, but at the same time, knowing myself, I'll probably exceed it. But let's just involve a lot of money. A lot of money. A very, very large amount of money.
From Rosalind, you're very inspirational. Who inspires you, and what's the best book you've ever read that help your business and your mindset?
Thank you, first of all. That's really kind. And I don't have like any big inspirations per se. And I guess in terms of books that have helped, I'm very woo-woo. So there's this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's like from the 1930s. You can tell it's very archaic and it's a bit crazy. But I remember that reading that book in 2021 was like the first time where I just felt like my success was inevitable no matter what. So that book helped a lot. If you're like spiritual, if you're into, I guess, visualization, manifestation, was a really good book for me to read. And then in terms of like big inspirations, it's not like a big internet person. I think it's just people in my day-to-day life that inspire me. Like obviously my boyfriend Adam like does the same thing as me, and we obviously both worked really hard, and seeing him work hard makes me want to work hard. And like we both met because we were like in the same mentorship group at the time, and like I don't know, we're just like pushing each other. So that was inspirational, seeing like, okay, I'm with someone who's also very ambitious. My mom inspires me a lot because she like sacrificed everything for me. Like I think my mom also plays a huge role in like my work ethic and how she raised me. So I take huge inspiration from my mom. Yeah, and I think just the people in my life, like all my close friends, they know who they are, like in so many different ways, they inspire me to either not just to make money, but just to be a better human, I guess. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
What would you recommend someone do who was in the same place you were 12 months ago?
Where was I 12 months ago? I think 12 months ago, honestly, I was just scared to spend more on ads. So I would spend more on ads because my ads are profitable. And I was like, okay, I was spending like nothing. I was like, oops, maybe like $1,000 a month, which was literally nothing because I was making a lot more to be able to spend a lot more. So yeah, spend more on ads. Don't be afraid to lose money because you're not really losing much or learning, I guess. So yeah.
But even that conversation we had, I think last week, you're way more profitable than you even realize.
Yeah.
Like way more.
Yeah.
Question from Alex: if you just start from scratch, where would your initial focus points be on building up to where you are again?
It's hard because times have changed. Back when I started, like reels weren't really a thing, for example. But I guess if I was starting from scratch today, I would, yeah. So okay, a big mistake I made when I started from scratch, I guess, that I wouldn't do if I started again now is like, I guess, oversharing on social media. I think a lot of girls do this where it's like just sharing things that don't really matter or that won't really help with business. And I'm not saying you only have to market or you only have to sell. That's not what I'm saying. But if what you're sharing is not providing value, or if it's not showing your prospects that like you can help them, I don't think it's useful. It can help you get engagement, it can help you build a loyal following, but not people that are going to buy from you. So I used to share a lot about like my competing, my shows, my bodybuilding, my own life, like picture of my food, or like, oh, I'm flying to this place, or I'm doing this and doing that. And like, I was in denial that that was like not helping me. And I remember Adam at the time told me to just stop fucking doing it. And then when I stopped doing that, it helped so much. So like if I started again, I would not post irrelevant things and just really focus on this page is for my business. It's not my personal page. I have like 5 other Instagram accounts that I use for my personal shit, and that's fine. But you want to use your main IG for your business and only for your business. That's the main thing that I would change if I started again.
What's the biggest thing you've learned in terms of ads from Ben?
The biggest thing I've learned in terms of how to run them, or
I guess ads overall. Do you want to unmute yourself?
Start with it. I guess it's like where do you direct, where have you seen the most benefit, and where do you direct the focus, I guess, in terms of like type of content, how to choose like locations, all that kind of stuff? Is it just test and test and test, or
honestly, yeah, it's just test and test and test. And also, I think something that I found is like, it's something that I've personally found is targeting, like, for example, like just the US. So obviously all of our ideal clients are probably in the US or in Canada or these big English speaking countries. Is like, it's expensive and it's hard to be profitable. Try and think outside the box, test different locations. Something I will say is targeting older age groups, so like no one below the age of like 30, sometimes can help because those people have more disposable income. And checking consistently to see when you're, yes, that's something I learned was frequency scores. So when you go into your ads manager, you can add a column that shows you the frequency score. And if it basically, it means the number of times on average someone has seen your ad. If it goes above 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're like, okay, these ads are being shown to the same people over and over again. It's stale now. Might as well change it. I think Charlie's going to show you.
Yes, so this is a frequency score here. So if you want an example of what a retarded frequency score looks like, I'm going to show you this one. Bang, 15. To anyone who's in Dubai, I apologize because you've seen an ad 15 times apparently. But this is still insanely profitable, so we just let it stay way over the top. But that's a retargeting ad. The UK is quite bad as well, but retargeting ads will generally have a high frequency score. You ideally don't want to be over 4 or 5, and then if it's cold traffic, which some of these are, they're still quite high. You want to be under 4 really. So that's what frequency score looks like.
Awesome.
Cool. Adrian asked, what's your average spend per boost post earlier?
I changed this up a lot, to be honest. Like, I'll start it on like 25 pounds per day just to see like, okay, is this actually gonna be some clicks and followers? If it's actually like, you know, getting me a lot of clicks, if the clicks are very cheap, I'll increase it by no more than 10% per day. Yes, another big thing I learned with ads recently, actually, from Charlie at the workshop we did a couple of weeks ago, is like, if something's working, don't increase the ad spend too fast, because it like resets it or something. I'm not too sure how it works, but like basically don't increase it by more than like 10% every 24 hours is something that I've learned.
Yeah, so you need to be careful. Like one of the things with ads is you get, I don't know what the technical term is, like they call it like an ad vein. It's like if you're digging for gold, you get the vein of gold. If an ad's working really, really well, you don't want to screw it up and like increase the spend really quickly, because then it tends to like push it into different types of audiences. So like if you get something that's working, like generally like 10% a day is the max you want to try and focus on taking that up.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else you want to share, Aliaa? What would you say has been the biggest challenge from overall?
Biggest challenge? To be honest, I think it's something I'm actually facing right now, where a lot of ads are getting quite stale. And I'm like, okay, something's got to give right now, something's got to change. And it's not going as well as I want it to be. And it's fucking annoying. So this is a big setback. But I know that like if I just keep doing the fucking work and I keep trying different things, testing different things, training my setters better, like just landing in front of more eyeballs, it's a numbers game, that it will pass. So I think I'm going through it right now. Like it's been quiet. It's not been this quiet in like the past 12 months. And it's normal. And I'll be fine. So I think it's just like not panicking, not stressing. That's the main thing I'm working on right now. So yeah.
So what I would actually add into what you just said, and then for everyone else on this call, is the context that fitness is a seasonal business to some degree. So we are now the 11th of June, where most people are starting summer holidays. Like inherently, this is where the least people are probably going to be signing up for programs, and most people dropping off. But what actually happens is like there's a season of like sowing and reaping, as like same in farming analogy. And the busiest time of the year, I would say, is from mid-August till December. Like the back end of the year is way stronger. So like that's normal what you're experiencing and everyone else as well.
Yeah, because like right now we're getting in our DMs like, oh, I'm traveling. Oh, can I start in July? Can I start here? Can I start there? So it's just part of it. And I guess the main way we've been able to reduce like our drop-offs and our churn is doing that like summer promo, Black Friday style, like pay up front. You can get a free month of coaching or 3 free months of coaching, and that's helped a lot as well, keeping people over the summer.
Rosalind said, would you ever suggest someone not to have an indication of pricing on an application form?
I mean, there could be an argument for that if like you have like literally 0 calls, no diary, you're like, fuck me, I just need to fucking get someone on call. Then yeah, don't, obviously the risk is you waste your time, but like you don't have any calls, no diary anyway, so might as well.
Nick asked, remind us where you were Aliaa at Adam's event in 2021 June from MRR to now.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Back then I used to track my income in pounds, so I was living in the UK. I think in 2021. Really nothing back then. I think like the biggest I hit was like probably like less than 1/10 of what I'm doing now, to be honest. So yeah, probably like 15K, about 1/10. So yeah, I've come a long way, Nick.
10x.
Yeah.
Any last questions for Aliaa, guys? Or anything else you want to finish with?
Is there anything that you feel you've changed in your content, which you feel has helped like increase your growth, or outside of what you've already mentioned?
Yeah, I think just being really controversial, like saying things that people don't expect to hear, I think is the main thing, and not being afraid to be a bit taboo. You have to be careful because then with that type of content, you can't boost it. Because of like when you advertise, obviously there's certain things you can't say. Oh, thanks, Alex. Thanks.
What I had to say is that you are a legend. Thank you.
No, you're a legend. Thanks, Millie.
So the key to take value from this video is take away 2 actionable items you can implement. And if you don't know how to do this, you can hit the link below this video to find out how we can help you one-to-one. These aren't sales calls we do with people, they're basically free coaching calls to help you find out if we can help you with your business. If you want more knowledge like this, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, and I will share more golden nuggets from inside our own program for completely free to help you.